We didn't even say that we were dating. We chose not to date. This would be a great follow-up to that initial discussion that we had last week, why we chose not to date.
Right.
All right, so our first
We're
episode.
supposed to pray.
Oh, snap.
We prayed last time.
So we're going to do that every time?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's our second episode.
Right.
Do you want to pray? If you felt led to pray, then husband, lead me to prayer. Okay.
That's where I was at.
Okay. Let's.
Lord, help us reach people. We thank you for this morning. We thank you for your Holy Spirit guidance. And we just pray that ears are open to receive and that hearts are ready to change and feel your presence in them even more. We pray that you give us the right words and the right content to share with these people today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
We're not perfect people.
By any means.
But by trusting in God, we learned what it takes to build a friendship,
A relationship.
and marriage that has stood the test of time.
With a Keeping It Real style, we're going to talk to you about everything
that
we've been through,
are going through,
and have overcome. All by learning how to lean on God and each other.
in order to help you learn how to love by faith.
Good morning. Jeez.
Coffee time.
Should we tell people how early it is? It's extremely early. It's very early.
It's what you do, man. You
It's what
gotta
we
get it
gotta
in
do.
with 3 kids. What are we gonna do?
I know. You just got to get it where you fit it.
And staying up late doesn't work for us.
We didn't stay. You know what it is? It's that daylight savings. Nobody likes daylight savings. Who likes daylight savings?
This is the side of daylight savings that is better, but the downside is now it's dark at 4:30.
So it's terrible in the better part. What does that make it in the worst part?
Right.
Horrible.
The spring forward is the worst.
Ugh. Anyways, we did our first episode.
Did. I like that.
It was, it is what it is. It was
felt good.
great. It felt good. The message was good. I think our exchange was really good. I like to think of myself and this entire experience as Iron Man.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you said that.
Because Iron Man never makes the same mistake twice. Every new armor gets better and better to address the mistakes that he experienced in the past armor. Right. And so I just feel, with the video, with the sound, with the lighting, with the structure, with the staging, everything is going to get better. And as we continue to grow and as you guys continue to follow us and continue to share and like and all that stuff, we hope to continue to upgrade and continue to have a better suit,
better experience,
so that we're able to withstand all of the Avengery things that life comes at us.
Yeah, I like that.
So, all right, what are we doing about this episode? So last week, I talked a lot about my first impression of you.
Right.
I shared a lot about how
baby daddy, 3 kids, got it.
Yes. I want to just say right now, with that comment, I've grown a lot.
Yeah.
Since the time you met me. Like, I honestly believe when you met me, I was a train wreck. I was a train wreck that the Lord was like, challenge accepted. Okay. Challenge accepted. I've grown a lot, but we'll get to that later. I really want to hear, and I'm sure our listeners want to hear your side.
Okay.
I want to know your impression. Like, did you see me as a train wreck? Like, why would you date a train wreck? And matter of fact, as we were talking about this topic, we didn't even say that we were dating.
Right.
We chose not to date, and I think this would be a great follow-up to that initial discussion that we had last week to really get into why we chose not to date.
Right.
And why you decided to date a train wreck. Like, were you just a train driver? what was it that led you to me? I really want to hear all that. Right. Dude. Right. Come on, ride the train.
No.
Anyways.
It's funny. I didn't see you as a train wreck.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw you
that's nice.
I saw you as someone who had it kind of
put
together enough. Right? So we were in our early 20s, right? You had just finished college. when you were out of college, you were in a good job. So I saw that and I was like, she got a good job.
Yeah.
Wait, let me rewind to when I first saw you. Let me start
Yes.
the way you started.
I saw you as baby daddy.
When I first saw you, it was literally the day you became a member. So you'd already been at the church for weeks or months.
Yeah.
And you'd finished the membership class.
I did my first fast.
And I was like, huh, there's someone my age finally. Because there was only like 3 people.
3
people under
young
20,
adults in
under
that
30
church,
in
which
the
is
church.
crazy to think that now our church is like exploding with young adults.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I saw you and I was like, hey, look at that. There's someone in my demographic at this church.
Mm-hmm.
And then
so you didn't even recognize
didn't catch it out of the side of my eye anywhere, no. And then I was like, oh, she's Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Like you had a Puerto Rican name. Yeah. So that was cool. And I was like, oh, we have something in common. Make sure I say hi to her. And then at the end of service, yeah, there was nobody around. You were gone. I didn't see you.
Right.
Didn't get a chance to connect with you.
I went to Drug Mart, bro.
And then
I was so happy. I went to Drug Mart and bought a candy bar because I was like, I finally have that.
Celebration.
I celebrated.
Nice.
Or some coconut water or something.
And then like maybe the next day or Tuesday or whatever, the pastor calls me because we were getting ready to launch a youth group, and it was me and another guy. And then
so you guys were just launching it.
We were just starting the youth group
I thought it was already in existence.
For the kids. No, we were just like had been. So when I first started, there was a youth group. Yeah. And then there was like 9 months. Where there was nothing. Yeah. And then Pastor Bob was like, "Hey, you want to start a youth group?" Yeah. Right. And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it," because youth group had been okay for me when I was a kid, but like it wasn't something I looked forward to. It was always just make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and take them to the homeless. Really? Which is cool. Yeah. But it wasn't like what we put together. It wasn't like what people think of as a traditional youth group. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think we got a kid up. That's all right. Yeah. But so he calls me up and he's like, "Hey, I want you to call Selina. Did you see her on Sunday?" And I was like, "Yeah, I saw her." And so he's like, "Give her a call and see if she wants to help with the team. She said she'd be interested, and she works with kids already." So I was like, "All right."
I want to cut you off right now because I think it's such a divine intervention that he called you, because you were not the youth pastor. Right. Nor were you the female partner of the youth group. Like, you were not the female leader. Like, you were a single male. Yeah. And pastor was like, I'm going to give this number to this man to reach out to. Right. It was a holy hookup is what I always call it. It was a holy hookup.
And so, again, my favorite part of the story is that I got your number from our pastor. Right. So that was cool. And you kind of stole my punchline there, bro.
My bad. I was just so excited to hear that. It's just such a coincidence. Yeah. It's just, why? How? And I'm sure he didn't even mean it that way. It just, maybe you were the first one he passed. It's just, it was all God. Yeah. Literally.
I don't know. Maybe he saw me as the more administrative side of I don't know. But then we get together for our first meeting, and we're at this at the parking lot of the office, and I hear you pull in. Yes. I don't see you pull in. I hear music, and then
just as I planned it.
I see
was it a reggaeton or something?
This lady with her hood up, and she's like, hello, car, and she's just pulling in, and she's
and so trip. I am a mess.
And so like, okay, that's Selina. And then we get out, introduce. Hey, I'm Kyle. She's like, I'm Selina. I'm like, oh, you're the one who didn't call me back. Yeah. So, because I called you, and you didn't even like.
You were so serious, bro.
Call me back or shoot a text like, "Hey, got your message. I'll call you Tuesday, whatever."
No. I've already made up in my head that I'm not calling him.
Yeah. So rude.
I know. I'm sorry. Listen, I have.
I got over it. Trust me, I got
immensely.
Over it. So then we got into that summer and planning the youth group, and we had kind of made a leadership team agreement. Like there was a couple guys and a couple girls, and we're
Yeah.
all like, we're not gonna get involved.
Yes, I do remember
Like
that.
as a leadership team, we were like, hey, we're not gonna get involved with each other because we don't want to negatively impact the youth through fallout if there's anything that goes wrong.
Right.
And so I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But as a team, we all started hanging out together all summer,
Yeah.
right? And so like 4th of July we hung out, and then like a couple baseball games we hung out.
And at
You
the
and I
same time, we were
went to,
also on the creative meeting.
and then yeah, the creative team pastor wanted to start, wanted to have like a think tank for making the church better,
Mm.
and we were both on that, and
Yeah.
so we got to be at another different set of
A little
meetings
different.
together.
Yeah. So we were double timing our ministry with each other.
Right. One of the things that came out of that creative team was to do an outreach to our city and
Yeah.
put together the local mission. I mean, the local mission trip,
Yeah.
which was an awesome idea. And then,
It was essentially the birth of the community outreach ministry.
yeah,
Was from that.
yeah, and we wanted to reach and connect to our city, and like a big week of service and mission style stuff,
Yeah.
helping and feeding and praying.
The concept was basically what you would go to a third world country to do.
Right.
We wanted to do all of
Yeah.
that in our own community.
Right.
And so we set the whole week to do a bunch of stuff in that manner.
And so through all this time of spending time together and planning, and then by the time the week got close, it ended up where you and I were basically the two leaders making the event happen,
Yes.
the week happen, and coordinating everything. And so we had just got to spend all this time together, planning and planning.
Yes.
And so
I was so angry at God.
and so by the end of that, I was like, man, this is someone I could really work with. And she's cute, and this could work. Let me see what we can do with this.
Meanwhile, I'm like, Lord, I told you, super attitude bratty style. I told you, God, that if the door is supposed to close it. Why is he still showing up? Why is he still coming up? Why am I still finding ourselves in these random meetings where everybody cancels and now it's a date?
But it wasn't a date.
But
It was a meeting. We still got the work done.
what about Chinese buffet? That was kind of a
So there was supposed to be a bunch of us to
right.
go out there and have a meeting, and then they didn't show up, and so we kept the meeting. But it ended up being just two people out at lunch after church.
I'm going to tell you right now, at that Chinese dinner, that was like one of the very first alone times we had.
Yeah.
And I just poured everything out to you. I told you I went to jail. I told you I had bad credit. I told you I had all of these past records because I was like, let me stop him now. Like I was self-sabotaging myself, no lie. And I was like, let me stop him now before he gets too far. And that was like early on in the summer. And you still just, at the end of working together, you still thought we were compatible.
Great point about dudes. Or at
Okay.
least about me as
Yes.
a dude.
Tell us, because I really tried to ruin it.
Oblivious.
Wow.
Oblivious.
What?
All of it went over my head. I didn't see those as you communicating to me that you were interested. I
Okay.
didn't see those as you showing me what could go wrong. I didn't understand that as you trying to make yourself look bad or like
Okay.
showing me, and none of that.
So what did you see in that conversation and us moving forward?
A pretty lady at lunch with me who I could make laugh and have fun with in a chill fashion.
Wow.
So I didn't even.
I was thinking
wasn't
of
even.
marriage.
I wasn't even.
I was like, I can't marry this dude. Can he be the father of my children? I don't know.
Nah.
Let's just try to date first. We didn't even get to the dating. This was
Right.
still just friends.
So I wasn't even like anywhere.
Wow.
I was just
So guys are
listening
oblivious,
to you.
is what you're saying.
Most
guys,
I was
some
I
guys.
was hearing you, but I was just having fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't that serious at that point
Wow.
for me.
Wow. Girls are always serious. Just keep that in mind. We're always like, we're trying to play it up like, oh, we're just having fun. But no, seriously, we're just like, let's feed him this and see what he does. Let's see what
I was
happens.
oblivious. That was way over my head. I wasn't even there.
So we get to the week and it was oblivious, and you're realizing that we can connect.
By the end of the summer, where we were like,
Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool. I can't wait for this event to be over, and hopefully I could share with her how I feel at some point.
Yeah.
And I had good mentors.
Yes.
I had really good people around me.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Same.
And like guys who've been married for a long time, guys who've been in ministry for a long time,
Yeah.
and even guys who've been single for a long time,
Yeah.
to really kind of round out that whole how to make this work and happen. And so I reached out and like
You had a board meeting about me.
at a board meeting about where I'm at. Well, that's a good way to put it. It was a good advisory board
Yeah.
of Christian men who were just cared. They had nothing to gain from any of it, but they
Right.
really just took that step out of their own day, took time out of their own thing to pour into somebody. That's huge. Like having a mentor system.
Not only that, but what you're saying, okay, like how many churches out there have people who are married, who are in serious relations, who are single but strong in their walk with God.
Yeah,
And they see these couples, they see these people like, oh, they're about to get together. Oh, I could see chemistry right there.
yeah,
And how many of them are actually like choosing to pour into them before they do something?
right.
That's huge. That could be something that I think the church could do a better job of doing. Like, let's stop looking at ourselves as much and let's try to help people in such a way where it's like, oh, I see you got eyes for so and so. Like,
Right.
how are you doing with that? What's going on? Like, it sounds to me like people were pouring into you willingly, or
Right.
were you saying, hey, I like this girl. Let me get your input. Like, were you initiating it?
So that's perfect. That's great. I don't know what the word is. Anyways, that's a great way to move this.
Okay.
The the beauty of it is they were there before anything.
Right.
They were there just I don't want to say curious, but they were there just as part of what they felt their duty to God was. They were there
Mm,
before I became interested in you. Before
yeah.
like
They were just disciplers.
Rilo was there
Yeah.
day one of the
Yeah.
first people I met at the church,
Shout out to Rilo.
and he just stuck. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
He just stuck with me, and still he still checks on me and says what's
Yeah.
up and happy
Yeah.
birthday and all that. Even though our paths are gone different right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
but in that season, he was just there. I felt like just there for me, but he was doing this for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And
The
it comes from the
pastoral
heart.
heart. Yeah.
Being there to be a mentor to somebody is just I just see this person and they're new and I want to just help them and connect with them.
Yeah. It's not an obligation, it's a desire.
Right. And so I went to his small group,
Yeah.
and so we had more than just Sundays,
Yeah.
in each other's presence. I could lean on him when stuff was weird or when I was trying to cuz when I first met him, I was a new believer,
Right.
right? And so by the time I met you, him and my relationship was a year,
A
2 years
year. Yeah.
old, and so we had developed this good bond to be able to have a good back and forth.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, man, the mentors is huge. Having those people in your corner and being there for someone. So if you're an experienced Christian
Yeah.
and you don't have someone who you're pouring into or at least trying to connect with, you know, that we as long term believers need to work on that.
Yeah.
That's part of the commission. Go and make disciples.
Right.
We got to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if we're just, it's so easy to fall into that Sunday in, Sunday out
Yeah.
trap, and you gotta go to those extra events and connect with people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it comes from having your cup filled. If
Mm,
you're still a Christian with an empty cup,
yeah.
then there's no desire whatsoever, or you're going to feel like it's an obligation. It's going to feel forced, and then it's going to weed out eventually, it's going to fall away. But when you are able to fill yourself
Yeah.
spiritually,
Yeah.
and then the spiritual wholeness, it then carries into, you know, healing emotionally, recovering mentally, taking care of yourself with self-care physically, all of these things. Like, now you're becoming a whole well-rounded person.
Yeah.
So now you're working in an overflow. And from the overflow, it's like, I would be happy to help you.
Right.
I would willingly help you because I can. I'm in a position where I can.
Yeah. Or even like feeling, you'll feel, I have felt where it's like, my cup is full and I need to pour into people, and you become like, who can I pour into?
Yeah.
Where is this, Lord?
Yeah.
I need to,
Yeah.
that Holy Spirit is just pulling you to not hold on to it,
Yeah.
to not keep your light under the basket, like the word says,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
so,
good.
that's where it's a natural Holy Spirit progression. If you're,
Yeah.
Hello, fellow couples. Selena here. We know that relationships can be tough, but they don't have to be. Kyle and I created a free resource just for you called Rate Your Relationship, and it is the perfect tool for Christian couples who want to strengthen their bond and take their love to the next level. Rate Your Relationship is a great tool that helps you better understand what areas you and your partner should focus on to make your relationship more balanced. Kyle and I have selected the top 8 love life categories that are vital to any couple, and you'll use the handout to basically rate them between 1 and 10. But not only are you receiving this handout for free, once you download the Rate Your Relationship resource, you'll get email access to us to provide you with godly advice and wisdom that you can begin to apply to your specific relationship needs. So, whether you're struggling with communication, intimacy, or trust, the Rate Your Relationship resource has got you covered. So, what are you waiting for? Download the Rate Your Relationship resource today and start building a stronger, healthier, and happier relationship with your partner. You can find the link to download in the description, and let's get back to the show.
So you and your mentors had a board meeting about me.
so we
How
get
did
to,
you know when to be like, okay, I actually want to like go out with this girl? Because this whole time we were friends in ministry.
so there were all these, to me, looking back on it now, it's
Yeah.
like self-imposed roadblocks, right?
Like what?
So like,
Tell me.
we're setting up we're setting up the youth group.
Yeah.
I can't pursue her right now. We got to be focused on this job.
Okay.
We're setting up this outreach. I can't be pursuing her right now. We got to be, it's going to mess up the whole chemistry of the job.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to mess up the mission, right? I was mission oriented, didn't want to mess this up, right?
Yeah.
And so all these missions had kind of come to completion,
Yeah.
right? We had launched the youth group. It was going smooth. We had a good routine going.
Yeah.
Then we had finished our outreach. And then even after literally the day that the outreach closed, that whole week,
Yeah.
we went out to
Eat
like a
pizza.
lunch dinner,
Yeah.
and it was one of my favorite meals of my, not literally that event, but the food we had where we went was
Yeah.
one of my favorite foods.
And was
You
that
know,
like confirmation or
so
something?
that was like, and you ate it with me, and so being in my 20s and dating people and finding like it's hard
Is this
to
seafood
find,
pizza?
yeah, to
Okay.
find people who have a similar palate. That's a big deal because like you want to eat good with your partner, right?
Right. Right.
Or at least you want to be close. You know what I mean? Be able to go to the same restaurants,
Yeah.
not have to go to sushi by yourself,
Right.
which
That's
would
a sad.
which was
Eat a
something I
whole
was
boat
like,
by myself.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. And so you just checked all these boxes, and then we had it was like I went and prayed like, how am I gonna do this?
Yes.
And so went to the board, went to the board and was like, how should I do this? Is this wise to do? Is help me think through this. And they were like, bro, it's already, she likes you, can't you tell? And I'm
The
like,
whole church knew,
and I'm like,
except for us, that we liked
well,
each
and I'm
other.
like, well, we just been working together. I didn't think she liked me. He's like, nah, bro.
Let me tell you what, though, that whole time while you were like, oh, mission above, everything else, mission above everything else, I'm over here going to my mentors and I'm
Yeah,
like, listen, guys, I like someone. They already knew who it was. I'm like, I like someone.
Someone.
However, I don't know how to approach it. I don't know what to do. I don't want to mess him up. I
They're
don't want
like,
him to
so
fall
when are you
short.
gonna tell Kyle?
Right. They knew it. Obviously,
Yeah,
everybody saw it, right?
yeah.
Because when you see it, you see it. But my mentors were like, let him lead this
That's
because
good.
that will pave the leadership role. That will pave the trajectory of the rest of this if it goes anywhere.
Right.
Let him make the first move. So I'm sitting here waiting, like, come on, bro. Like, when is this gonna happen? And I was just so frustrated because I'm like, that's it. He doesn't like me. He doesn't like me because he's never making a move. Why is he playing games? And I would like try to read your eyes, and I'm like, I know you see what I see. Like, why aren't you saying anything? And so it's interesting because I was waiting on you, but you were waiting on God. And
Okay.
that's kind of the direction it's supposed to go in.
Yeah.
And so easily impatience from any of us could have really made this into a completely different thing.
I think I had like one. I don't know if it was a beige flag or a yellow flag or like a warning light. A warning light would be a really good way to put it.
What was it?
When we went out with the team on the 4th of July,
Okay.
and
Oh,
we were walking to the park, and then we were walking back, and you're like, so is this something you do? Is this like,
it was
did
a
you see
genuine,
yourself doing this all the
it
time?
was an honest question.
And to me, it was so future oriented that I was like, wait a second. Why would she ask? She's into me and she wants to know if this is something that happens all the time. And it was like,
Well, if you
I'm just
recall,
gonna put that on the back burner because that was just one. That was just one like
Well, if you
warning
recall
light.
in the last episode, I talk about the 4th of July story
Yeah,
and I say, like,
remember?
it was at that moment that I was like, oh dear,
Yeah,
I don't
that
know how to
it's
talk to
funny. That
him.
was a
And
trigger
so
that
that was the question. I was like, so do you come here often? What do you
yeah,
do? Because in my family, we didn't have a traditional 4th of July thing. Like sometimes we went to see fireworks, sometimes we didn't, sometimes there was a picnic, sometimes there's not. So I just want your family was at this picnic.
so I grew up in Lakewood, Ohio, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of the largest in the area
Yeah.
get-togethers for 4th of July. Like 50,000 people go to this park, and
Right.
so this was what we did every 4th of July.
Right.
You know what I
I
mean?
did
And
I
so
did not. So,
it just was funny for you to come and when you asked the question, I knew like,
yeah,
oh, she might be into me. And so then it didn't really change how I behaved, right? Because it was just like I had the boundary up of
right.
we're on this team, we got this mission, and I didn't keep a guard up. Like I still was genuine with you,
Yeah.
but there was a wall there that wasn't. I could emotionally not go there because it just wasn't part of the mission.
And I immediately went on a fast. Immediately.
So
Immediately.
that's great.
Because I didn't trust my thoughts. And I was like, I need to figure this out. So
Yeah.
I think I went on a 3-week fast.
So fast forward,
Yeah.
then I'm like, all right, so this is cool. I like her. I'm ready to admit this to her. But how are we gonna do this, right? Because
This was right after the community outreach had finished.
I didn't want to screw up and mess up the youth group. That was still a thing. You know,
Absolutely.
there's still a considerations. I didn't want to mess up the youth group.
Absolutely.
I didn't want to mess up her church experience or her church life. I didn't want one of us to have to go to a different church. They want one of us to have to
Right.
go to a different blank,
Right.
fill in the
Make it
blank.
awkward and
Right.
put the relationship before God and everything that we have built in a church setting.
When I wanted to tell you I liked you and like wanted to be more intentional about what we were doing,
Yeah.
it wasn't in the form of dating. Like I didn't want to date you. I didn't want to just like, she's my Tuesday.
Dang.
This is my, you know what I mean? I didn't want that. Right. No,
Right.
that was where I was at. It was like,
Yeah.
that's not how I want to be.
And I
Right.
quite honestly was too old for that. I'm like, I'm not playing games here. I don't have time. I don't have the energy.
Really.
What
And so
what you mean by that?
we went out to dinner. I had a company dinner. And
Okay.
we went out and then we went to the beach afterwards.
Right.
And we are sitting there
So nice.
on
I
the
knew
lifeguard
immediately.
chair. And I was like, hey, this is how I feel about you.
Yes.
And you know what you said?
I know.
You said, I gotta think about it. I don't
Oh,
know.
I choked. I
And so
choked.
I'm like,
I wasn't ready.
I'm like, okay.
I wasn't ready.
Wise answer, lady. Well played.
I went on a fast again.
But what were all these signals that I
I
thought I would
know.
see?
I fasted again because I just didn't know. Because now I'm thinking long term. Now I'm like, is he going to be my husband? Like, do I want to marry this guy? Am I sure I want to marry this guy?
Right.
I'm thinking marriage. You're thinking, I just want to be your boyfriend.
Right.
I just want to court you. But because we weren't dating,
Right.
that was, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this because we both see that as a goal.
Right.
And so I was like freaking out inside. I was like, I don't know if I want to look at Kyle's face every single day. I don't know if I want his last name.
How's that going?
It's beautiful.
That's
The last
funny.
name is a challenge for other people.
Yeah.
But I love it and I love you, and I think we made a great decision to marry each other.
Yeah.
So anyways, after that, my biggest thing, at first I thought, okay, he's not strong enough for me because I come from a family of really strong women, and I was just like, he's not strong enough for me because you were never loud and you were never aggressive and you were so calm and you were so different from all of the men that I dated in the past, and
Yeah.
you didn't wear Tim's every single day because that's who I was attracted to, and every single guy that I dated in the past had these flashy cars, these Audis and Lamborghini things and BMWs, all this stuff. You were not that guy. And so you were so vastly different from my type and from the character of what I saw was an attractive, strong male.
Mm-hmm.
And that drew me to you because you were so secure in who you were and you were so confident in who you were, just being you,
Yeah.
that I was drawn to that. I was like, I could see myself with that. I can see myself with this man because that is the definition of strength to me in a man, to have that, to have those qualities. And so I was like, okay, I got over that. But then my really big, like the root cause of my fear
Yeah.
was I didn't want you to stumble and fall on my account. I didn't
Right.
want, I think I had like this Eve syndrome where I didn't want to lead you to sin.
Did you just make that up? Eve syndrome?
I don't know. Like we could probably Google it,
Okay.
but I'm just making it up right now. Yes.
Okay.
So maybe, I don't know, Eve
Okay.
syndrome. It sounds right. It sounds good.
Where you wanted to protect your partner from sinning.
I didn't want to lead you to fall to sin.
Yeah.
Yes. Out of my own temptations or actions.
Okay.
And so I was suffering from Eve syndrome, and I went to my mentor and I was like, this is my fear. My fear is that I would kiss him and then I wouldn't know what to do thereafter, because every relationship I had went past the kiss.
Right.
I used to live with guys
Right.
back in my college days. Like we went past that. And so now that we're in this setting, I don't want you to go there. I knew that you were a purity mindset, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a modest person. And so I didn't know what to do. And my mentor was just like, let's just pray. Let's just pray.
Yeah.
Let's just see what happens. Right.
Yeah.
Like, let's just pray about it. She didn't give me any advice. She didn't tell me what to do, what not to do. She just told me, let's just pray about it.
Right.
So I prayed, and then that's when you took me to like a little private beach in the daytime,
Yeah.
and we were just kicking it. We were just having,
I'm glad you remember this stuff because, like, it's all just
it's
way,
all in the
way
files.
back there. Because I don't remember going to that.
It was the afternoon. I think we were about to get lunch, but before we got lunch, we had to have this conversation.
And so I knew, like you, I didn't want to, like, lead to you stumbling or lead to you,
Yeah.
crossing a boundary you didn't want to cross.
Yeah.
And I knew I didn't want to, if it didn't work out, right? Like, because it could not work out. We're still brand new dating. Like,
Right.
I haven't even seen you really mad yet.
Yeah.
We'll
get there.
So I knew, like, I don't remember how I said it. How did I say this?
Yeah.
Because I know you remember.
I definitely remember.
Okay, go.
So we were talking, chit-chatting, and then I was very afraid to talk to you because this was really the very first time in our friendship that I'm being vulnerable with my spiritual worries
Right.
and my spiritual fears.
Right.
And so I was like, I have to share this because if I don't, it's going to affect everything.
Right.
And so I was very afraid to be honest and open and share this with you because it could either make or break the next steps.
Come on, come on.
So
We all want to
okay,
hear it.
okay. So then I tell you, I'm like, Kyle, my biggest concern right now, the reason why I feel like I can't move forward and date you and court you is because I am afraid that we would kiss
Hmm.
and then it would go on from there.
Mhm.
And I don't want to fall into sin and I don't want to I want to protect what we have
Right.
basically. And you just kind of, the super Rico Suave that you wear, you just kind of looked off into the waves and you're not even looking at me. You're like kicking the dust on the ground and you're like, well, Selena, it's funny you should say that because hands in your pocket. It's funny you should say that because with my last relationship, I made a vow to God that the next person I kiss would be my wife. And I just, all of a sudden, like the calculus equations start going in my head. And I'm like, wife, what does that mean? Like, I'm not even his girlfriend. Like, what is that? How's he gonna kiss me if I'm not his wife? Like, what does
Yeah.
that even mean? And I'm like, Kyle, I need you to break this down. Like black and white. Don't sugarcoat it. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And you were like, the next person that I kiss will be on my wedding day at the altar.
Right.
And then that's when it clicked for me. Like, oh, you don't want to kiss either. You're choosing not to kiss because of this promise you made with God.
Right.
And I don't want to kiss because I can't kiss because of my temptation in my flesh.
Right.
And so I just saw this as like, wow, this could work.
This works out. It
This
makes
could
sense.
this could actually work. This my and so once I've heard that, it kind of just gave me the confirmation, opened the door, and so a couple weeks later, I wrote this little poem. I gave it to you, and the poem basically said like, I think I'm ready
And
to
and through
to
all
do
of
this.
it, the biggest reason I didn't want to just date was because I didn't want to have the fallout of if it got too serious or if it got like if it didn't work out and then we'd be awkward and one of us leaves church or one of us
Yeah,
I didn't want that,
yeah,
and that was my biggest goal.
yeah,
And I didn't want to be the kissing thing was just between me and God to protect my purity and my making the right choice to avoid sin. That was what I wanted.
so you made this well before you
For
even
you, yeah, oh yeah. Before I even liked you. This
before
was
you even met me.
God and me in my prayer time. Yeah.
Did you feel led to, like, did you feel like God was leading you to that, or this was just out of your own heart, like, I desire
It
this?
was what I don't want to say needed, but the best way to protect myself
Mm,
and my I don't know want to say holiness, but God calls us to be pure
yeah,
and to avoid sexual temptation, and that's what I wanted to avoid. And that's how if you don't cross the first line, you can't cross the second, third, fourth line,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so that was where that came out of.
When you made the decision to do this with God in your prayer time, there was no woman around. So
Right.
it's easy to make a decision.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
easy. Like
Right.
I'm going to do this and it's done.
Right.
But then when I came along, did you feel any sense of like, oh man, I can't believe I said that, or I don't,
No, I never look back. I
yeah,
never look back, honestly, on
you're
that one.
committed.
That was just part of it because I was so committed to the mission
Yeah,
that I didn't want to screw it up.
yeah,
The youth group,
yeah,
really, that youth group was a really good anchor for me
totally.
to have a responsibility and
Because kids were watching.
to be a good
Now we're
leader.
examples.
Now we have 3 kids watching.
Yes, yes. Who are now up. Now I think it's a good time to finish this episode, and maybe in our next episode we could talk about our actual dating experience because that was crazy and now we're not kissing.
Next episode, not dating. Next episode, not kissing. Next episode, what else?
We'll figure that out. I
Other
think
stuff.
other stuff. that we'll figure out. Let us know. This is our second episode here. Let us know if you're enjoying our story. If you have questions, we would love to do a live Q&A or something like that to kind of help you get through the details that we may have missed or overlooked or that you're interested in learning about. And I'm excited to hear the next part of this. So I'll see you forever. I'll see you guys next week. And thank you guys so much for listening and watching.
Yep.
And be sure to do all the things, right? We got to like and subscribe and follow and share. And yes, please, if you're listening to us, make sure you do a review and get that going so that people can find us and discover our podcast. And
it's good.
This is what it looks like to love by faith.
By faith.
We'll see you guys in the next episode.